Welcome back to Warzone Workshop. Start with that. I've talked about this gun before on my channel. I have a video on it. This is my ICS Galil 91. The old school type with the bipod. But I think I also mentioned that I don't really keep the bipod on it very much. And let me show you why. This is the bipod, and the problem it has is that spring just falls right out. It just if you let the bipod just open up by itself, just let it loose and just go for it, that spring will free willy itself right out of that gun, and it's not good. Taking your wonderful replica and turning it into just a limp, dangly, worthless bipod. I mean, who's gonna want that? Look at it. It just, yeah, but it don't stay up by itself. Look at that. Look at that. No one's gonna want that. Lame, limp ass bipod. So, we gotta take this and we gotta fix it. Because ICS sure didn't. This was definitely not a new production model that they hadn't fixed the problem on. So what I'm thinking I'm gonna do to fix it is I'm going to permanently attach it to one side or the other, so that even if it did spring open too far, it would still be there, and I could just stick it back in. That's one thought that I'm having. The other thought would be to just expand it out more, so that when it opens as far as it can, the spring's still there. But then you're reducing your spring, your properties on your spring and all that stuff. A lot of stuff that I just don't have the time or knowledge for, and I don't want to get a different spring. Oh, and he's the original. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna whip up some JB Weld 2-part, and I'm going to just stick it in the hole, let it dry, and then put it up on there, close it, and see what happens. See if that fixes the problem. Because I just want it opening that far. I don't want it going any farther than that. But if it does go farther than that, I want it to do this. I want one side to stay in the gun, or in the bipod, so that I can go, oh, hey, I over deployed my bipod. Let me go ahead and stick that back in there and get it going again. Because you don't want it scissoring and losing its in the process. So let's go ahead and fix that with some JB Weld. We're not going to need a whole lot, so I'm just going to put a little smear of it there. And a little smear of the black part. And when you mix the white and the black together, you get gray. And then we're going to take that and we're going to put it on the spring. Now, The goal is not to get the spring to stick to itself, it's to get the spring end to stick to the flat part inside here. So I'm going to go ahead and make it so that it covers the hole. Hole? No hole. Simple. All right. Now, this is going to go in here, and I want to get it in perfectly. I don't want any excess on the walls because then it'll stick to the spring itself. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to real carefully roll the spring on the paper just to alleviate that. Now, the goal is going to be to let it sit and settle. It'll slightly go down a little bit. So I'm going to hang this up and let it sit like this for probably 48 hours to make sure that that is fully hardened. After which I will then bend it and put it back into the gun, into the bipod. Alright, so it's been a few days. I went ahead and put it onto the Galil. And now I'm ready to see if it will open. It will. And now we're going to take the two legs together and we're just going to slip our hand off and see if it holds or if that spring just free willies out of the gun like it did before. Whoops. Look at that. Our spring stayed right in place, nice and solid, not coming out. I just stick it back in there, close it again. So if I take my bipod and I go to deploy it, and say I deploy it in a way that's not controlled and slow, you know, or if I slip up and I accidentally spring it like that instead of guiding my hand up it, because that's if you don't want it to happen and you haven't modified the gun like I just did, the best way to do it is to just slowly up the legs and just let it come up naturally and do its little split. But if you're taking it and you accidentally let go of it, or if you hand it to someone and they don't know, now you didn't just lose your spring out in the middle of nowhere at some airsoft field. Instead, your spring's right there. Of course, you won't be able to close your bipod. You'll have to just stuff it up in there with your thumb, and then you can close your bipod, put it back away. But this keeps you from losing the bipod. It also has stiffened it a bit, so now it's not just coming freely out of that side. So now it has to come out the other side if it, you know, if it overextends. So now if we wanted to, we could go in, we could take it, put it to where it opens naturally, put a tiny bit of JB weld in there, and just make it so that it doesn't come out of that side either. It'll just open to here. But I'm hesitant to do that because if I put in too much, closing it would force that JB weld into the spring, and that could cause the spring to not work anymore. I think it's fairly good the way it is. Right now, you'd be lucky if you accidentally let go of it and it stayed in the bipod instead of just freewheeling itself out of the gun and being gone forever. Because if you're out in the middle of nowhere playing airsoft and that spring goes flying out, if you don't find it right then and there, you're wasting the rest of your day looking for that thing, and you probably won't find it. But now I have the bipod on there, and I can open it, and it just stays right where it's supposed to be. Even when I'm slipping my hand off, it's just stay right where it's supposed to be. I'd say that that's a fixed Galil bipod. So now your bipod is ready for all your super tactical stuff, all your little faster reloads, and if you accidentally jiggle it out, it doesn't fall out. So then just get used to when you go to redeploy to collapse your bipod, just get used to pushing that spring up in and then closing it down. Not that hard, just get used to it. If you've extended it, just check your spring, make sure it's up in there so that you can close your bipod and get it put away. It's an easy fix to a problem that doesn't need to be there. But on the ICS Galil 91, it is a problem. And we just fixed it. So, have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time in the war zone. Oh, before you go, I did just pick up this LCT SR3. And it is a freaking fantastic rifle. But the problem is there's a giant chunk of metal in here, and then your battery is supposed to fit somewhere in here. And it's a tiny little spot. There's not enough room for any normal, regular, decent LiPo battery, let alone anything else. So what I'm thinking is I want to make a new handguard to replace this, and I'm going to make it so that it has an angle grip built into it that's just molded into the plastic, so that it's coming down like this instead of being up here, you know, where it's not super comfortable for me. I would rather it be down here. So I'm going to do a more pronounced hand stop here at the front, and probably an inch down in elevation there with a built-in hand stop. So my fingertips come right up to this. And I'm also thinking about doing a donkey dong, a custom wood donkey dong, just so that I have more battery space for this LCT SR3. And I think that would be fantastic. Transformers, commies in disguise. That is just kick flipping that stock back. I mean, it'll cut you if you're doing this shirtless. It will cut you. But or if you let that come down on your thumb, it'll hurt you. LCT guns, they'll actually hurt you while you're using them, because they're built really well. Man, this just feels like a handgun when you're using it, especially when you chamber check. I got a video of me unboxing this. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Also, there's still a giveaway on this KJ Works P226, which is being upgraded as my subscriber count goes up towards 500. Right now it's almost at 400. As soon as it hits the 500 mark, this will be an upgraded pistol, and it will be sent out to a random commenter on one of my YouTube videos where I talk about giving it away, like this one. So you should comment anything, just doesn't matter, random comment, whatever it is. I don't need it because I got my WeTech P229, which is also being upgraded. I like the more compact version of it. See you next time in the Warzone.